Welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live. We're your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover breaking news, culture, memetic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Today is June 19th, 2023. Again, not a coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. Shortly after BlackRock announced that they're planning to file to launch a Bitcoin ETF. Shortly after that, it came out, breaking news, which we're going to cover today, that Fidelity is looking into launching their own ETF as well. We had a narrative back in 2017, and this was kind of like the narrative that was going about while the price of Bitcoin was crashing in 2018. You know, it's like, no, the bull market's it's gonna keep on going, and that narrative I never forget it. And that narrative is the institutions are coming. The institutions are here. Both Fidelity and BlackRock, they have trillions of dollars, that with a T, trillions of dollars under management. And they wouldn't be doing this unless they felt they had the necessity to do this. We know that Fidelity's been around for quite a while. We know that they've been mining Bitcoin as well. So we're going to get into the details of this, what the consequences of this are. And also, we are Bitcoiners at the end of the day, right? So we're going to give you the Bitcoin angle, right? It's like, even though the institutions are here, we also have to remember that, you know, BlackRock and the CEO, Larry Fink, is a big fan of the ESG movement. He is, you know, he's part of the Quintillionaire Conference, which, you know, everyone knows as the World Economic Forum. So these aren't necessarily friends of Bitcoin, right? But the reason that they're saying this, and this is the part that I want you guys to focus on, or doing this, better said, is because Bitcoin's incentives are irresistible. And that's what I want you guys to focus on, because this is why we are going to win. We are going to win because Bitcoin's incentives are superior to anything that they might throw at us. The only thing they have left is coercion, right? And they kind of they're riding on the coattails of that legitimacy that they built up, you know, over the years, over the decades. But that legitimacy is starting to crack. The matrix is starting to break a little bit. When the guy in the suit on TV goes onto the podium and he starts talking to you, and they start asking him very, very basic questions. Why 2% inflation? And this is a highly educated individual. These people are not stupid. Or when the European Central Bank is coming out with memetics, basically saying that the cause of inflation is because workers are asking for more money. You start to see the cracks in their legitimacy. You start to question their narrative. You start to wonder, wait a second, like, do these people really know what they're talking about? The metaphorical curtain gets pulled from, you know, the scene from The Wizard of Oz, right? Who is the Wizard of Oz? And the curtain gets pulled and you see it's just a man pushing buttons and levers and stuff. That's what's happening right now. Bitcoin is highlighting their bullshit, and their bullshit is being exposed for the world to see. And mind you, the same thing is happening not only on the money front, but the same thing is happening on the information front as well, right? And we're going to cover those two topics today. The legitimacy of these organizations, of these institutions that, you know, our parents, our grandparents have trusted. They've been around for decades and decades and decades. They're being called into question because of the internet. The internet started the fire, and then Satoshi Nakamoto came along and poured a gallon of gasoline with an orange logo on it. And that orange logo is Bitcoin. And then it started a big ass motherfucking bonfire. And that bonfire is the bonfire of freedom and truth and prosperity. And this is why we're here. And anyone who's against that is against freedom. It is against equality in the monetary network, in the monetary system. They want a system of privilege. They want a system where a group of elites get to print money for free that everyone else has to work for. They want a system where a group of elites gets to pick and choose who's entitled to use money and who's not entitled to use money. Bitcoiners want a system of equality where no man should have the privilege and the ability to create money for free that another man has to work for. No man should have the ability to censor another man's money, another man's living. That is the world that we're fighting for. That is the world that we want. That is the world that we want our children to grow up in. And anyone who's against that is straight up fucking evil. That's what I got to say about that. But anyways, it is Monday. I wanted to start it off strong. Here's my legendary co-host, always optimistic. How you doing, Opti?
I'm doing wonderful, bro. I can tell you had a great weekend because we're coming in strong with the Nico Jones rant. It's going to be a good week. It's going to be a good week. And man, it is really interesting to watch the floodgates open up as a Bitcoiner that has heard the rumors since I got into Bitcoin. You know, the institutions are coming. The institutions are coming. The institutions are coming. It's like Paul Revere. It's like Paul Revere over here. But now they're here. I think it's undeniable. Obviously, they've been here. I was saying this over the weekend that, BlackRock and friends had to learn about Bitcoin somehow. So they're obviously lurking around and reading about Bitcoin and maybe even watching Simply Bitcoin. Who knows? They are paying attention to the signal because anyone that is awake right now, anyone that is looking around at the current financial landscape, they all know what we know. There is a problem and they need a solution because even if they have literally more money than countries, they have to find a way to secure that moving into the future if they want to maintain their power. And of course, hey, we know Bitcoin is for enemies. Bitcoin is the best way to store their value. And they had to research it. So they've been here, they've been lurking. And now I think this, again, I think we've been saying this for a while. I think a lot of us Bitcoiners have a lot of PTSD considering the last bear market. And we just we are being very conservative with our numbers looking into the future. But I think this next bull run is going to be absolutely crazy to the upside. And on that note, I do have for the culture today an article by Marty Bent. I do have some charts here, guys, so forgive me. I might do some tea leaf reading for you guys, but I am fundamentally convinced that we are making it out of the bear market, but I really want to kind of cover some of the stuff that Marty Bent has been covering on his newsletter and showing to everyone that this bear market has been a great bear market for Bitcoiners because, hold on.
I am building.
Bitcoiners be building in the bear market. So beautiful to see, beautiful to be a part of. And I think the next year or two going into the halving and a little bit after the halving, man, you're just going to be happy that you're stacking. Continue to stack them sats, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Continue to stack those sats. Don't sell your Bitcoin to BlackRock. Don't sell your Bitcoin to Fidelity. Don't be that guy. Don't be that person. Hold on to those sats. Hold on to those sats for dear life because your life might depend on it. Anyways, everybody, no more delay. Let's jump straight into numbers. We got a lot to talk about. Let's check it out.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Brought to you by Nodl. At this point, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. If you don't use your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. And if you're a digital nomad, you have absolutely no excuse because now you can run a Nodl through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu today. All right, everybody, I want to tell you about the largest Bitcoin conference in the world, Bitcoin 2024. It's not going to be in Miami this year, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, July 25th through the 27th, 2024, the year of the halving, Bitcoin 2024. You want to take advantage of the early bird ticket specials. For a GA, it's only $299. For an industry day pass, $749. And if you're a whale, for a whale pass, $4,499. $499. If you're looking to get a job in the industry or just hang out with your fellow Bitcoiners, Nashville is an amazing city. Definitely check out Bitcoin 2024. And of course, we have your back. You can use the promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a 10% discount. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 24,440. Sats per dollar, 3,782. Block height, 795,072. Reachable Bitcoin node, 17,096. Blocks to halving, 44,928. Halving estimate April 20th, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 5,410 Bitcoin. Capacity value, 143 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation rate, 1.76%. And the market capitalization of Bitcoin, $513 billion with a B. In the grand scheme of things, Bitcoin is still a baby. Anyways, this is what I wanted to talk about today. I was talking about it in the very beginning about the legitimacy of these institutions, whether it's the institutions of fiat money are crumbling before our eyes, but we're living through something that, in my opinion, is equally as important, right? Is that the institutions of information, right, of which governments have co-opted in order to sell the public on an official narrative, of which that narrative sometimes it can't exist with debate. It can't exist without their monopoly on it. And this is actually a tweet that I think I came out in April. I said, we are witnessing the complete collapse of the corporate media's legitimacy. Without their previous monopoly on mass distribution, they have to compete with the general public on equal footing. We saw this with Tucker Carlson. When Tucker Carlson was and the reason I like to talk about Tucker is because Tucker was one of the only mainstream media, or sorry, better said, they're not, because they're not mainstream anymore, legacy corporate media broadcasters, the most popular one, I might add, that regularly brought on Bitcoiners like Nayib Bukele, like Marty Bent, like Michael Saylor, like Max Kaiser, and he was let go. And what was the reason that he was let go? He was let go because he was going against the official party line. Now, what happened after he let go? And this is what I was talking about in this tweet. His show got bigger. He started publishing directly to you using Twitter as a platform. And his show, his first show, got over 100 million views. His average show on Tucker Carlson Tonight, which was the most popular legacy media show, got 3.5 to 4.5 million average viewers. That I can't do the math off the top of my head, but it seems like the Twitter numbers absolutely crushed his previous numbers. And you know what? He's not beholden to an organization. He disintermediated Fox News. He went directly to you, right? And this is the power of the internet. So a lot of the narratives, right, that the state, or we're about to talk about certain certain companies, they can't really stand on their own without the censorship, without the monopoly on information. It's breaking before our eyes. And here's something that happened over the weekend, right? This is Joe Rogan, the most popular broadcaster in the world, right? 11 million average listens per episode. And he challenged Peter Hotez, who is a PhD, and he basically said, he tweeted this out. He said, Spotify has stopped even sort of trying to stem Joe Rogan's pandemic misinformation. It's really true that a guest that Joe Rogan brought on is just awful. And from all the outline attacks I'm receiving after the absurd podcast. So here again, you have Joe Rogan going against the official narrative. And then Joe said, listen, Peter, if you claim what RFK Jr. was saying, and RFK Jr. not only spoke at Bitcoin 2023 in Miami, but he's also in second place for the Democratic presidential candidacy of 2024. So Joe Rogan goes on to say, Peter, if you claim what RFK Jr. is saying is misinformation, I'm offering you $100,000 to the charity of your choice if you're willing to debate him on the show with no time limit. And then mind you, this bet, because a lot of other people piled on, now it's in the millions of dollars that could potentially be donated to charity. And guess what? He still declines. And the reason that he declines is, I'm going to go back to the original tweet that I said, we are witnessing the complete collapse of the corporate media's legitimacy. Without their previous monopoly on mass distribution, they have to compete with the general public on equal footing. They're not used to people talking back to them. Tie this in with what happened with the New York Times. Right? The New York Times released their hit piece propaganda article, and they said Bitcoin miners are bad for the environment. Bitcoiners slapped back, and we said, hey, Pierre Richard specifically said, hey, here's a video. Bitcoin miners actually don't release any CO2 emissions. The New York Times slapped back and tried to community note it and said, yes, they do. And then the Bitcoiners fought back and they got that community note removed, right? These institutions are not used to that. And when I say institutions, I'm talking about governments. I'm talking about powerful corporations. I'm talking about central banks, right? And then what does that do? The forcing function is that if you don't tell the truth, if you don't have the facts on your side, people are going to call out your bullshit. But these people have been used to operating in a way where there was no mechanism where the masses could go out and say, you know what you're doing? You're fucking lying. The hive mind of the internet is calling out their bullshit. And what this does is that it empowers you. It empowers you tremendously, because even if you don't have a large following, you have the ability, every tweet that you like, every meme that you make, or every video that you make possibly, it functions as a weapon, as a metaphorical weapon in this narrative trench warfare that we're fighting every single day in the battlegrounds of the internet to win over the hearts and minds of people and get them to wake up to this new reality that it is not left versus right. It is not Democrat versus Republican, at least in the US or any, in the political parties in your country. What this is really about is the party of truth, prosperity, peace, and freedom, which is Bitcoin, versus the party of green, which is the party of destruction, poverty, despair, and slavery, which is central bank digital currencies and fiat. And this is working. This is working, as was shown when Pierre Richard debunked the New York Times. But most importantly, here's Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman, he is a very, very wealthy individual. And I think this tweet describes exactly what is happening with most people. He said, put aside any preconceived notions about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and listen to the Joe Rogan podcast with an open mind. One of the most powerful and mind-opening interviews that I have ever heard. My uninformed impression of RFK pre-interview was an anti-pandemic wacko conspiracy theorist. 3 hours later, I'm intrigued to learn. I have been told by people who meet me for the first time that they had a vastly different perception of me from what they have read or seen in the media. I am similarly guilty of falling for consensus media narratives about people or situations that I haven't had the time to examine and empirically, despite my efforts to avoid this trap. I am going to be even more disciplined about accepting the conventional wisdom without completing my own independent empirical assessment. I encourage you to do the same. The Great Awakening is upon us. And it is literally the sole cause of this is the internet. It is empowering people to go around the intermediaries and go directly to the source. And when they do that, you start to question, wait a second, this RFK guy, what he's saying doesn't sound so naive. It doesn't sound so crazy. It doesn't sound so absurd. And they're freaking out because of that. That's what the Biden administration wanted to implement the Ministry of Truth here in the US, even though we are explicitly protected by the First Amendment. That is why the US government was asking Twitter to pull down certain tweets, even though that is explicitly against the First Amendment, because they're losing their monopoly on information. And we're in the infancy, we're in the very beginning of them losing their monopoly on money as well. And those two things are happening simultaneously. And it's causing chaos. People don't know what to do. And especially people like Bill Ackman, people, maybe your older family members, maybe family members that are still relying on these institutions that, by the way, they've betrayed that trust. These institutions, we are supposed to trust them. That is the job of a journalist, to be unbiased, to be ethical in their reporting. But what they have shown over the last 2 or 3 years, maybe even longer, is that these institutions are not in the business of journalism. These institutions are in the business of propaganda. These institutions are in the business of narrative control. It is not me saying that. Tucker has said this before. And Tucker has said this and he was the most popular broadcaster for Fox News. And he was let go. He has said this, and they fired him for it. And he has said in this very, very famous clip that we've played for you guys many times on this show, says, what I've come to realize is that I was part of the problem. I was being used to sell the public on narratives that are not true. So what can you do as an individual? Take agency, take personal responsibility, not only over the storage of your wealth by taking Bitcoin into self-custody, but also do your own, excuse my language, fucking research. Don't trust us. Don't trust anybody. Verify. And there you will find the truth. Don't trust one single source of information. Don't trust CNN. Don't trust Fox News. Don't trust what the guy on TV has to say. Remember what they were telling us. There will be no inflation. Remember that shit. We heard it loud, clear and loud. It was very apparent. And then what happened? There ended up being a lot of inflation. And I don't even want to get into the things that have happened during the pandemic. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. But there was a lot of things that they said that didn't end up being true. And remember the article by Nayib Bukele. Remember that article, because that article is a very, 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 very powerful article. And in the name of the article, the name of the article is Don't Drink the Elite's Kool-Aid. I'm going to read you this last passage and I'm going to pass it on to Opti, because you guys have to understand where we are in the movie and where you and what part you have to play in all of this. Because if you are awakened, if you are using money that doesn't steal from you, it is your responsibility to pass that on to the person next to you, because this is how we win. And if enough people buy Bitcoin, earn Bitcoin, mine Bitcoin, and take that Bitcoin into self-custody, we will win this thing, and there is nothing they could do about it. Anyways, Nayib Bukele goes on to say, the most vocal detractors, the ones who are afraid and pressuring us to reverse our decision, are the world's most powerful elites and the people who work or benefit from them. They used to own everything, and in a way they still do. The media, the banks, the NGOs, the international organizations, and almost all the governments and corporations in the world. And with that, of course, they also own the armies, the loans, the money supply, the credit ratings, the narrative, the propaganda, the factories, the food supply. They control international trade and international law. But their most powerful weapon is the control of the truth. And they're willing to fight lie, smear, destroy, censor, confiscate, print, and do whatever it takes to maintain and increase their control over the truth and everything and everyone. They are losing, and that is why they're as desperate as they are. And you know what I gotta say to that? Push forward, keep on the pressure, and we will fucking win this thing. Opti?
Let's fucking go, yo. Oh, man. It's Monday, and we get some Nico Jones rant straight to the main vein. Let's go. Well, first and foremost, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little surprised that we did cover the Joe Rogan stuff this morning because we try to avoid, all the... I don't even know. I'm not even going to say it. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, you did say a point, though. The two things that are unraveling in real time, information and money, at the same time, it's almost like they are the same thing, and one feeds the other, which I think as a Bitcoiner, someone that watches this show, we've covered this a lot, but I think this is one of those points that gets lost on the average person a lot. And this is why we continue to beat that drum and hopefully get that message across to more people. But we've also been covering the thread that what we just covered today highlights the importance of independent content creators around the world. I don't know about you, but personally, I've been thinking this for a long time, and now it seems like this signal is spreading far and wide. Just the complete illegitimacy of corporate press is starting to go mainstream, and more people are waking up to the idea that they cannot trust their favorite TV channel, the corporate press, because they're not telling you the truth. They're basically incentivized to lie to you, to spread a narrative. And now, considering that we have the internet, that everyone's on social media, that we can all congregate and talk about what we believe to be the truth, the signal is starting to spread and more people are waking up. And it does really feel like it is the Great Awakening happening in real time. I was saying this for a while, I don't know, a few years ago. And now, at the time, I was kind of like, wow, maybe I'm reading into this, but now it really does seem like more people are waking up again. Maybe I'm just part of my own echo chamber and I'm seeing what I want to see, but it really does feel like people have had enough of the lies and are waking up to the nonsense that is corporate journalism. Of course, it's very hard for me to try to convince maybe my mom or my dad's age people, but even they start to realize, wait, there's something that just doesn't add up here. And that Bill Ackman tweet is very interesting. He said something that I think us Bitcoiners really enjoy, at least on Twitter. We call Twitter the battleground of ideas, but it's something that I've noticed recently in regards to just the normal mainstream culture, is that no one is willing to hear out the other side. And he finally heard the opposing side on a very popular platform, and having an open mind versus just fighting tooth and nail shows that more people have a lot more in common than differences. And I think the divide and conquer tactics that we've all experienced the last couple of years aren't working as well anymore. Because again, what do we always say about memes and about the Bitcoin message? We have the truth on our side. And if you continue to propagate a lie, even if it's a huge lie, for a long amount of time, people will finally start to wake up once the cracks start to show. And I think this is where we are in the story. And I think this is just kudos to every single one of you guys that not only is creating content, but liking content, sharing the content, having these conversations in real life, because people are waking up. And I really do believe that human consciousness is at a very pivotal moment right now. And people are starting to, at the very least, see the light, or on the flip side, start to feel the pain. And what do we know in human psychology? Once you start to feel the pain, you start to look for answers. And people are waking up and looking for answers because they can only dig their head in the sand for so long. And the truth is out there, and people do need to just look for it. And they can't rely on the credentialed class to give them the truth, because they have basically ruined their own legitimacy, their own credentials, and no one's believing the BS anymore. And so people are looking for alternatives. And man, it's just crazy. I see some people that aren't fans of Tucker Carlson in the chat. And again, say what you want about him, but the point still stands. His show is even more popular now on Twitter than it ever was on Fox News. And that is obviously terrifying to the people that control truth, that have the monopoly on information. So Continue to spread the signal, continue to understand the true power that you have as an individual out there. And that not only means taking your information, your Bitcoin into self-custody, but it means adding to the signal and piercing through the noise, because the only way they can basically confuse more people is by adding so much noise that you don't know what's up from down. So continue to spread the signal, continue to have these tough conversations with your friends and family, and continue to make the memes and make the content and share the content, like the content, because this is what we have. Like we have powers in numbers, and we have the information and the truth on our side. And even though they have the $1 trillion PSYOP campaign against us, they can't stop this. So let's go.
Yeah, let's freaking go. I'm gonna borrow a RFK Jr. It's his uncle, right? It's his uncle that was assassinated, right? It was JFK.
Yeah,
it was his uncle,
and his dad. I mean,
yeah,
JFK is his uncle. His dad was also murdered.
So I'm gonna borrow a line from JFK's speech, right? Ask not what Bitcoin could do for you. Ask what you can do for Bitcoin. Anyways, everybody, let's jump straight into the news. We got a lot to talk about. Let's check it out.
The Daily News.
The Daily News is brought to you by Blockstream Jade, built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. It's an open source hardware wallet for the cold storage of Bitcoin. Check out the brand new limited edition color, the transparent green Jade. Blockstream Jade houses a full color camera, allowing for fully air-gapped Bitcoin transactions, scan and display QR codes directly on the device, assign transactions, and verify addresses with ease. Use your Blockstream Jade with your favorite wallet software, such as Blockstream Green, Blue Wallet, Electrum, Sparrow. Get yourself a Blockstream Jade today and take self-custody of your Bitcoin.
All right, everybody. I also want to give a shout out to the Orange Pill app. It's building the social layer for Bitcoin. As crazy as this sounds, without the people, Bitcoin is just ones and zeros. Bitcoin is the people. Bitcoin is you. It's me. It's Opti. It's Rustin. It's Dell. It's Don. It's John. It's Satoshi. Download the Orange Pill app for iOS and Android. Connect with other Bitcoiners in real life today. Find other Bitcoiners that live near you, and you can go into the app totally anon and search for other Bitcoiners by common interest. Orange Pill app is also the world's biggest repository for Bitcoin-only events. If you want to meet other Bitcoiners in real life, this is the app for you. Sign up through the App Store, and you can even pay in sats. And Opti and I appreciate all the love and all the messages and support. We appreciate you guys, and we try to take the time to answer them all, even though there's quite a bit of them. Anyways, everybody, let's jump straight into the news. We got a lot to talk about. Some crazy rumors. Shout out to our friends over at Bitcoin Magazine. They tweeted this out specifically. Shout out to Nick Can't Mine. I see you, bro. He tweeted this out at 7:57 a.m. It goes on to say, new $4.5 trillion Fidelity rumored to file for spot Bitcoin ETF. Race is heating up. And then it's the eyes and the rocket ship. So we did a little bit of research, and we tried to find more data about this. But of course, I think if Bitcoin Magazine is tweeting this out, I think that's some signal today. But anyways, so it goes on to say the headline is a Cryptoslate article for audio listeners is Fidelity rumored to make seismic crypto move soon. Goes on to say rumors are Fidelity will buy out Grayscale or file a spot Bitcoin ETF application as BlackRock did last week. It goes on to say Fidelity is rumored to be planning a seismic move in the crypto markets, according to Andrew Parrish, co-founder of Arc Public. The asset manager firm describes itself as a crypto curious, having mined Bitcoin since 2014. By 2018, it launched a separate cryptocurrency dedicated business, Fidelity Digital Assets, which has since received a New York Trust charter and launched its European operations in 2020. Examples of FDA initiatives include its Fidelity crypto offering, enabling users to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum alongside traditional stocks, pushing for 401k digital asset investing. And remember, I think this was over the target when they did this, because the anti-Bitcoin Senator Elizabeth Warren, went out to say publicly, we don't want Fidelity pushing people to buy Bitcoin with their 401k. We don't want people doing that. And of course, if she's an anti-Bitcoin senator, by definition, she doesn't want Bitcoin adoption. She doesn't want people realizing that, holy cow, not only is Bitcoin an investment, not only is Bitcoin something that I could hold, Bitcoin is actually an alternative to fiat money, which I believe is the motivations behind her stance against Bitcoin. Anyways, it goes on to say, we must get Elizabeth Warren voted out of office. We must vote her out of office. Anyway, we must vote anybody on the party of green out of office. We need to fill the Senate and the House and eventually the presidency with the party of orange, and we will get Ross Ulbricht pardoned and we will get Julian Assange pardoned as well. This is going to happen. We're going to make this happen. Anyways, goes on to say, rumors suggest that Fidelity, the world's third largest asset manager with $2.4 trillion under management, may be considering either a buyout of Grayscale or an application for a Bitcoin spot ETF. Parrish also speculated that with these potential moves and other recent events, BlackRock and Fidelity could dominate the U.S. digital asset space. Cryptoslate reached out to Fidelity for further comment. A reply was not received as of press time. It goes on to say, Grayscale operates 17 cryptocurrency trusts comprised of single and multi-asset funds. The largest by assets under management is the Bitcoin Trust at $16.5 billion. Grayscale Trust products allow accredited investors exposure to the underlying crypto assets via shares in the trust. Like an ETF product, Grayscale Trust have SEC reporting requirements, providing strong investor protection. However, the critical difference is that a spot Bitcoin ETF would allow for redemption in Bitcoin, something the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust cannot offer. Grayscale has been attempting to convert the GBTC to a spot Bitcoin ETF for a while. However, the Security and Exchange Commission denied the conversion, leading to Grayscale suing the agency in June 2022. And what we suspect, right, we've done episodes on this, is that part of the reasoning as to why the SEC allowed a Bitcoin futures, but not a Bitcoin spot ETF, is because they can't control it. They can't put downward pressure on the price, right? And I believe that is the reason, right? Because at the end of the day, what is like the biggest driver of adoption? It's NGU technology, right? And as soon as you unleash a Bitcoin spot ETF, I'm going to cover both sides from the paranoid Bitcoiner side in a second, which by the way, I'm on the side of, but if you unleash a Bitcoin spot ETF, the accessibility, the amount of capital that could potentially flow into Bitcoin overnight is absolutely absurd. And I believe that's one of the reasons as to why they've been so aggressive. And why am I saying that? We know how certain senators like Elizabeth Warren, certain members of the House of Representatives like Brad Sherman, and we know how the current administration feels about the entire industry. They don't like the industry. In the eyes of the Treasury, in the eyes of the current White House, they believe the future of money is central bank digital currencies, stable coins, and payment platforms. Both of which, stable coins and payment platforms, because they're centralized, they can co-opt, meaning they can keep going with the grift. And what is the grift? The grift is being able to create money for free that everyone else has to work for. Therefore, being able to spend more money than they collect in tax revenue. Therefore, the wealth redistribution mechanism of inflation continues, taking from the lower and middle classes that earn and save in fiat, and it's distributed back to the very wealthy that do have the means to save in assets. Therefore, they benefit from asset inflation, and it's distributed back to the government. And I think that's what it comes down to on a very basic fundamental level. Anyways, it goes on to say, the end of the article, hot on the heels of BlackRock. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager, submitted a Bitcoin spot ETF application on June 15th. The move was generally seen as positive for the cryptocurrency space, including as a bullish price driver and in legitimizing the industry. And I wanted to point out some numbers, right? So we have BlackRock, the amount of assets, and we did an episode on Friday, which you guys enjoyed, apparently. We pointed out BlackRock has $10 trillion under management. We pointed out with Fidelity, $4.5 trillion under management as well, right? And now here's the part that I want you guys to focus on, because all of this, you could say, Nico, all of this shit is fucking noise. Okay, like there's a lot of yes, the hopium, you know, these are articles, like, you know, actions are expensive, words are cheap, right? This is because it is a public company, they have to publicly list this, right? These are the top 10 owners of MicroStrategy Inc. Now, MicroStrategy Inc. has been acting basically like a Bitcoin ETF. It's not a Bitcoin ETF, but if you look at the price of MicroStrategy stock and you look at the price of Bitcoin, they're completely correlated. So when you get exposure to MicroStrategy because they own so much Bitcoin, you're getting indirect exposure to Bitcoin. Now take a look at what companies have increased their holdings in MicroStrategy stock. Take a look at Fidelity. They've increased their holdings by 668%. So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And BlackRock, of course, they're in there. They've increased their holdings by 2.5%. And Morgan Stanley Investment Management, they've increased their holdings by 15%. So I could tell you with a straight face that Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, and Fidelity are bullish on the future of Bitcoin. Because if they weren't bullish on the future of Bitcoin, then they wouldn't be buying these stocks, would they? They wouldn't be buying MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is affected if the stock is affected if the price of Bitcoin goes down. MicroStrategy stock is affected if the price of Bitcoin goes up. So why is Morgan Stanley, why is BlackRock, why is Fidelity, specifically Fidelity, because they really bought a huge freaking bag, buying this if they weren't bullish on Bitcoin? And these are some of the strongest, most well-connected politically institutions in the world. And like Rustin brought up before we went live, he's like, Nico, I'm almost 100% sure this BlackRock ETF is going to go through. And why was Rustin so sure about this? Because BlackRock owns a part of every Fortune 500 company. They have so much power in DC, you have no idea, right? So man, look, and then the paranoid Bitcoiner side, which I forgot to bring up. Yes, there's a downside to this, and the downside to this is people get comfortable buying paper Bitcoin. That's the downside. This revolution happens if people are buying Bitcoin and taking that Bitcoin into self-custody. Like that's how something actually changes, right? Because if not, it's just paper Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin that someone else holds for you. The handful of institutions hold. That's how they were able to co-opt gold. So if we want to actually effectuate change, I leave it up to you. Tell your family members, tell your grandparents. If a Bitcoin ETF gets released, you say no. What are you doing? No. Buy the real thing. If it comes down to it, be the Uncle Jim in your family. Show them. Be the person that's like takes personal responsibility. It's like, okay, we're gonna take self-custody. I'm gonna show you how to do this. Take agency, take action. Be a part of this. This is not a kinetic war. Thankfully, this is a peaceful one. This is information warfare, right? Take action. Don't sell your Bitcoin to BlackRock. Don't give BlackRock your money. You can buy real Bitcoin. Go to Swan. Go to the other Bitcoin-only exchanges if you prefer. And buy yourself some real Bitcoin and take that Bitcoin into self-custody and do it with your family. I guarantee your family will start asking you questions in the next 2 or 3 years as the price of Bitcoin goes up. Like, holy cap, hey, how can I get some? and you're like, look, you're going to get some, you're going to buy some, but then you're going to take that off exchange and you're going to put it in self-custody. And then whether they know it or not, they're part of the peaceful revolution now. This is about taking your power, your energy back. You're taking it back into your own hands. Even if your family members don't know they're participating as soon as they take that Bitcoin and take it into self-custody. Anyways, bullish Monday, crazy news. It is a rumor. Let's see if anything happens. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on all this, brother?
Yeah, first on, I want to touch on what you said about Rustin. I think the numbers are that BlackRock has been approved like 575 to 1 denial. So they don't just do anything on the whims of maybe this is going to pass or not. So that news is almost like guaranteed that Bitcoin spot ETF or trust or whatever you guys want to actually me in the chat is going to pass. But Fidelity's been in the space for a long time. So this should not be surprising news, but it does kind of lean into our very tinfoil hat conspiracies of like, of course, BlackRock gets the first ETF approval and then everyone else follows suits. So this just shows that the floodgates are going to open up into Bitcoin. And I said it last week and kind of got some pushback. I said that the BlackRock spot ETF will legitimize Bitcoin in the eyes of the normies out there. And they're like, we don't need BlackRock to legitimize Bitcoin. We need people to take Bitcoin into self-custody. While I fully agree, while us Bitcoiners obviously see the writing on the wall, there's still a lot of people that need to wait for, the experts, the professionals, the credentialed class to make moves before they follow. This is just how humans work. I'm just taking humans as they are, and this is what we're going to see happen in real time. So if you are a Bitcoiner today, you basically get to front run that by stacking sats, taking Bitcoin into self-custody, because like we know the government's not going to say no to BlackRock. And shouts out to Elaine. Go look at her comments. She's, in my opinion, completely spot on. But this also kind of proves, and this is what I was saying on Spaces on Friday, at least to me, this also proves that maybe the U.S. government isn't going to fight Bitcoin or ban Bitcoin or make Bitcoin illegal. And maybe this is just me being naive and optimistic about it. But maybe this is just the classic skeptic Bitcoin playbook, and the politicians have been posturing like they don't like Bitcoin, or even the corporations have been posturing like they don't like Bitcoin. You FUD Bitcoin, you pack your bags, and then when your bags are packed, you endorse Bitcoin. And it seems like we're seeing the same playbook play out right now with BlackRock. And as a Bitcoiner that's been in a few cycles, you see this same playbook play out all the time. People FUD Bitcoin, then you hear a little while later that they pack their bags and then they endorse Bitcoin. So it's just the classic playbook over and over and over. So obviously, I think it's inevitable that Fidelity will probably release their own ETF because, again, they've been in the space for a long time. They've been mining Bitcoin. They've been financializing themselves around Bitcoin. They've seen the writing on the wall. But to the point that Nico is saying, I think as Bitcoiners, it's important for us to not just get caught up in the number go up aspect of this, because we have one of our newfound skeptics in here that hangs out with us all the time. He's like, oh, it's so funny. Bitcoiners want the demise of fiat currency, and yet they price everything in a fiat currency. It's like, look, bro, hey, for better or worse, things are run in dollars. So this is how people manage and value their purchasing power. Well, in a long enough time frame, everything will be priced in sats, and we're just in that intermittent phase right now where we're in the transition. So as a Bitcoiner, again, what do we say? And maybe this is just a naive Bitcoin podcast take, but it is stack as many sats as possible. Make sure you're taking your Bitcoin into self-custody because, yeah, they do have more money than countries, but on a long enough time frame, once everyone realizes what game is actually being played, the musical chairs that is the financial system, you take your chips off the table, you put Bitcoin into cold storage. They cannot do the fuckery that we know they do in the traditional financial world. And eventually we win as citizens, as the people. Bitcoin is people of the money, the most inclusive, equal money, most fair money in the world. And all you have to do is just take a little bit of your paycheck, take some of your savings, your net worth, and you put it into Bitcoin. You hold it in self-custody, and you show people that they do not want to be holding paper Bitcoin, or else we end up right where we started in the beginning with the fiat world, with gold. So we have the tools. It's really about just explaining to people the game, that we have these freedom technologies right now, and you don't have to just play along with the status quo. So, hey, bullish, but also it's one of these things that we just have to be aware, stay vigilant, keep your head on the swivel, because we don't want to get too bullish, or else we might wreck ourselves. But hey, man, Bitcoin stays winning. Bitcoin incentives stay winning. TikTok next block. Honey Badger don't care. Let's go.
Honey Badger don't care. Anyways, everybody, let's get to the culture. We got a lot to talk about. But first, before we get to the culture, guys, you want to make it over the finish line with your generational wealth. And the way that you do that is by properly securing your Bitcoin wallet backup seed words. And there's no better place to do it than the BitPlates Domino. They're easy to use, hard to destroy. They're designed to preserve Bitcoin wallet backup seed words and passphrases. It's made from highly corrosion resistant
ASMR, Nico.
It's made from highly corrosion resistant 316 marine grade stainless steel, offers the ultimate protection against extremes of temperatures. You can use the promo code SIMPLY to get 10% off anything on the bitplates.com store. Anyways, guys, no more delay. Let's get into the culture.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. All right, guys, Swan has a new offer. Bitcoin is generational wealth, and you can secure your bright orange future with the Swan IRA, real Bitcoin, no taxes. Swan offers both traditional and Roth options to best fit your needs. Create your IRA and start adding Bitcoin in less than 1 minute. Transfers and rollovers are available. Swan's Bitcoin experts will get you set up with no transfer fees and no minimum balance requirements. This is real Bitcoin, not ETF or other derivative. Get the real thing and get it at Swan. Go to swan.com/IRA for more details. And of course, if you have any questions, doubts, concerns, you could always send me a question on Twitter DM, or you can hit me up on the Orange Pill app, whichever you prefer. Anyways, Opti, what are we talking about today, my friend?
Yeah, first and foremost, context, PSA, before you guys throw tomatoes at me and say that I am speculating on the price, go read some Austrian economics. All life is speculation. Anyways, I am going to do some tea leaf reading, kind of. I will give you a few heuristics. I do have some charts. I did bring this chart up here from Coinbase. Shouts out to Coinbase. This was a meme last week, but this is the context that I want to lay out before I get into the Marty Bent newsletter that I think more people should read. Anyways, you can see here on the screen if you're on YouTube, but for the audio listeners, we got the Coinbase meme here, and it goes, class of 2021 and 2022 Bitcoiners, if you're still here, congratulations. You just endured the toughest bear market in Bitcoin history. The 2015 bear market was 386 days. The 2018 bear market was 404 days. And the current 2022 bear market has been 490 days. And some people might even suggest that we are still in a bear market, but I think I think it's becoming very obvious that we are not still in a bear market. We're just in the very, very early stages of the next bull run. Anyways, I was going to cover this last week. Well, I've been trying to, but we have so many great guests on the show that sometimes I don't get to cover everything as they come out. So I do my best to cover them when I have a chance. Anyways, this is Marty Bent's newsletter. I highly suggest you guys all go follow him and definitely sign up to the newsletter so you guys can get Marty Bent's thoughts on things. But this is issue number 1350, and he goes, we're in the boring part of the bear market. Embrace the prolonged bear market. It will be remembered as one of the greatest opportunities to convert your fiat to Bitcoin that has ever existed. And he starts off this newsletter with a thread that he put out on his Twitter, Marty Bent. And he goes, this is the worst bear market since 2015, but the fundamentals are better than ever. You should be embracing this prolonged sideways price movement, because when this market turns, it's going to turn on a dime, and the bear cases for Bitcoin are going to be hard to find. I've been saying this constantly on this show for the last couple of weeks. And now that we all know, the institutional money is at the gates, I think it's becoming very obvious that this next bull run is going to be absolutely marvelous as a Bitcoin hodler. Anyways, he goes on to say Bitcoin mining is becoming truly embedded in energy systems. Again, this is something we've been covering on our Substack. Shouts out to my boy, Mike Hobart. Multi-institution, multi-sig solutions are de-risking the third-party custody risk, keeping a lot of money on the sidelines. Again, we saw what happened in 2022 with all of the shitcoin casinos and custodies and yield generating platforms blowing up. And this is why we tell you all the time, take your Bitcoin into self-custody. Anyways, privacy tools are improving, Lightning is maturing, and other second-layer solutions are launching. The quote-unquote crypto thesis is disintegrating, as we are seeing with the SEC combating all the exchanges, and Bitcoin is being seen as something completely different. There is Bitcoin, and there is shitcoin, and now I think this is an uncontentious position to have right now, and all the shitcoiners are reading about it and calling a status for it. Anyways, the incumbent financial and monetary systems are obviously systemically fragile and corrupted beyond repair. And again, as someone that just merely pays attention to what's going on, we can all kind of come to an agreement that they never fixed the problems of 2008, and we are just seeing this happen again and again, and it will continue to happen because they have no fix to the solution. And as Greg Foss says all the time, it is 11th grade math, and they have to continue to print money. Anyways, just going into this article a little bit, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can do that on your own time. There is some good points in here, and he goes, welcome to the middle. I would argue the end of a bear market in Bitcoin. From my perspective, this is the worst bear market since 2015 in terms to how drawn out it has been and the overall sentiment around the asset from outsiders. This time should be viewed as a cherished opportunity to stack and build long-lasting companies, and not time to panic or worry about the fate of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's fundamentals have never been better, and when the market wakes up to this, I think the next bull run will shock people to the upside. I agree. I know Nico agrees, and Marty Ben also agrees. I think we all have PTSD right now, and the Bitcoin price is going to shock us to the upside. We're not going to do any price speculation or real price calls, but I think we're going to be very happy in the next 2 years on the Bitcoin price. We probably still will see another bear cycle and market
$1 million Bitcoin. No,
oh, he's back. That was Nico. Anyway,
I didn't say that.
Whether we like it or not, the chaos of 2021 and 2022 in crypto turned most people who are Bitcoin curious away from leaning in. The crypto folks have done a good job of making people believe that their affinity scams are the same class as Bitcoin, but now it is becoming obvious that this isn't the case. With all that being said, there has never been a better time to lean into Bitcoin than right now. I'm convinced that this is the safest time to be buying Bitcoin, and I've been telling everyone this constantly, that now is the time to be buying. Yes, we might have one more down pool, but I still think this is the best time to be buying. It's never been safer, in my opinion. The fundamentals have never been better, and we are witnessing the network begin to enter a territory where it is viewed as systemically important for some key factors of our economy, particularly the energy sector. Again, check out our Substack. We have a bunch of other articles on this same topic. The strides the mining industry has made here in the United States and globally in terms of getting key players across the industry for energy clued into how Bitcoin mining can be an additive force to their stack cannot be overstated. The energy sector has a massive waste problem, and Bitcoin miners are proving that they are best suited to solve it. Whether it's flare mitigation, optimal grid utilization, or providing a reliable load for demand response programs, Bitcoin miners are bringing more revenue and stability to the energy producers who work with Bitcoin miners or incorporate it directly into their operational stack. And one of the things keeping massive amounts of money, of capital on the sidelines, is a viable custody solution for high net worth individuals and institutions who aren't comfortable holding their own keys, but also can't stomach concentrated third-party risk. Again, we saw a lot of the paper money or paper Bitcoin get cleared out in the last year. We're seeing a lot of Bitcoin companies working on this third-party custodial solution. We're seeing, the enemy of Bitcoiners, the BlackRocks and the Vanguards of the world, start to dip their toes into Bitcoin custody, institutional money solutions. So it is becoming very obvious that Bitcoin is finally growing up and going into the mainstream. Say what you want. I think this was always inevitable. let's just hope that Bitcoiners and the entrepreneurs in Bitcoin can out-innovate them and bring the Bitcoin ethos to the everyday person that we are constantly seeing happen, at least if you're following the right people on Twitter. Anyways, going on this article, the Lightning Network is maturing and getting integrated into more and more services, whether it be podcasting, distributed communications protocols, the telecom industry, or AI. It is becoming obvious that the Lightning Network's ability to achieve instant final settlement of small and large payments is a massive unlock for the digital economy. There's still some problems to be solved, but the entrepreneurs are working on it. And Lightning, in my opinion, has thoroughly destroyed the shitcoin narratives. The crypto narrative is disintegrating in real time as projects fail to provide the utility they promise and draw the ire of regulators. And probably most importantly, the incumbent financial and monetary systems are proving to be more systemically fragile than was previously thought possible. Every repo spam, banking crisis, debt ceiling debacle, and inflation print is a stark reminder of why Bitcoin exists. And you take all this together, and it's hard not to be bullish on the future of Bitcoin. Yes, we're not going to speculate on where it's going, but I am pretty convinced that we can safely say it's going to go above that six-figure Bitcoin price that we've all been looking at. And this prolonged bear market is an opportunity. It might be the greatest opportunity for the average person to continue to stack Bitcoin. If you are still relatively new to Bitcoin, this is the time to sacrifice, to cut back on expenses, to stack as much as humanly possible. Obviously, stay solvent. Do not get over your britches. Do not get overly greedy. Do not over leverage yourself. Stay humble and stack sats, because now is the time that you should be stacking, making sure that you have your self-custody solutions securely backed up, all that good stuff. Make sure you are in a good position to take advantage of the bull run coming, because when the bull run comes, it gets absolutely crazy. Now here, before I get tomatoes thrown at me because, Simply Bitcoin doesn't speculate on the prices. Guys, there is still some good heuristics, and we do not endorse tea leaf reading or following TA people on Twitter, because no one knows what the hell is going on, and no one knows where the price of Bitcoin is going. But there is a few heuristics that you can follow so you can know where we are in the story. And one of them is watching the 200 daily moving average price, and whether the Bitcoin price is above it or below it. And the heuristic is basically, if it is above the 200 daily moving average, you can safely say that we are in a bull run. And if it is below it, you are in a bear market. This has been holding up for as long as the Bitcoin price has been going. Yes, there's been some scenarios of black swan events that kind of, mess around with the heuristic. But overall, if you are above the 200 daily moving average, you are in bull run territory, and we are safely above the 200 daily moving average. So I'm pretty convinced that we are in a bull market. Obviously, it's the beginning of a bull market. Just FYI, I think we're out of the bear market. But hey, what do I know? I have to watch the price like everyone else. But I really like this tweet from Greg Foss on Twitter. And he goes, when the perception of risk is high, prices and multiples are low, thus actual risk is low. When the perception of risk is low, prices and multiples are high, thus actual risk is high. Do not confuse price with risk. Tune out Jim Cramer. Onward. Hashtag BTC. And just to give you guys some hopium, this is a hopium-filled Monday show. Okay, we'll own up to that one. Shouts out to my boy at Bam the Mexican on Twitter, and he goes, "Get ready for what is coming." And he has the Bitcoin price chart here in 3-month candles, and you can see that we are in the first quarter. Well, the first 3 months of the bull run, and there's a very, very constant pattern that plays out in the Bitcoin price, and it is a lot of green candles, some red candles, and then pump. So we're in the beginning of a bull run. I am convinced of this. What do I know? I just look at my Bitcoin stack and I just want it to grow, and I know that TikTok next block. But shouts out to Ant on Twitter, 2140 Daddy. He goes, stack harder, friends. Right now is the time to be stacking sats. If your friends and family are out there that are scared about the Bitcoin price, I don't know what you can do. I remember shilling all kinds of ridiculous stuff last cycle to try to convince my friends and family, but I'm convinced that we are out of the bear market, and it's just now's the time to audit your behavior, save in Bitcoin, take Bitcoin into self-custody, make sure that your self-custody solutions are backed up, because when the bull begins its real run, it gets absolutely crazy and Bitcoin Twitter loses its mind. I'm sure I'm going to lose my mind. As much as I try to stay sober and give you sober Bitcoin predictions, I am bull-tarded as they come. So, hey, I'm already giving you my PSA now. I will be literally losing my mind when the price starts pumping, but at least I'm telling you up front, I know what my bias is. I think Bitcoin is taking over the world, and we're going to see that happen in real time. Anyways, Nico, I realize I've been ranting for a minute and our time. We might not have time for the memes today. So
yeah, I think we're going to have to punt on the memes for today, just because we don't want to rush through them. But before I give my take real quick, I want to give a very special shout out to our sponsors. Guys, best place to buy your ASICs, to buy Bitcoin miners. Kaboom racks. Opti and I say it every single day. Kaboom racks. If you want to find the best deals, the best prices, go to kaboomracks.com. Join their Telegram group. They're constantly dropping new deals, and that's where you're going to find the best prices, the best deals. They're very, very good at what they do. They have an amazing reputation. So shout out to Alex and Nick and all the Kaboom Racks crew. They're freaking awesome. They're incredible dudes. And of course, our clothing sponsor, Opti and I wear the merch every single day. RepresentLTD.com. Opti's wearing the classic dad hat. I am wearing the classic camo Simply Bitcoin hoodie. And you can get all this stuff on RepresentLTD.com. You can use the promo code Simply-Bitcoin. Just search Simply when you go to RepresentLTD.com. Check out all their other merch that's not Bitcoin related. It's also really, really comfortable. It's stylish. It's all that good stuff. No meme review today because we went a little bit long, but we did go hard in the paint, I might say. Opti had his Saint Opti moment. I went a little hard on the paint as well. Appreciate all you guys. This was a Monday Simply Bitcoin special.
And hold on. We got Nico calling $1 million per Bitcoin stupidly bullish. Wow.
I did not say that.
I plead the fifth.
You didn't hear me say that. It's not if $1 million Bitcoin. The question really is when $1 million Bitcoin. That really is the big question, right? No one knows the answer to that. All I know is I just got to stay humble, stack sats. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. I'm your host, Nico. This is my legendary co-host, always optimistic, optimist, the one, the only, the Optimist Fields. The meme review will be back in full force tomorrow. Hopefully we won't run the segments too long. We got a little bit carried away.
Dude, we got a few Nico Jones rants today.
We got a little carried away, dude.
Hey, more Nico Jones rants, less memes. Chat in disbelief.
Oh man, we went a little hard in the paint. Anyways, guys, really, really appreciate you tuning in. We love you all. We'll be back with the meme review tomorrow, and until then, if you want to join the after party, join us on Twitter Spaces, which we co-host with our friends over at swan.com. Best place to build your Bitcoin stack. Opti is going to be holding it down. If you guys want to join the conversation, just request and Opti will bring you back. It will bring you up. And we're holding that until 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, we love you. We appreciate you. We would not be here without you. We will see you back tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Peace out, y'all.
I don't know if you guys heard. I dropped some stuff over here. ASMR. Anyways, you already know the deal. This is the Simply Bitcoin Spaces, where we bring up Bitcoiners, where you, the Bitcoiner, are a part of the show. So come up here, give us your 2 sats on the show. Make sure your voice is heard. Don't be shy. It is not just about Nico and I ranting here on our platform. It's about getting as many Bitcoin takes as possible, because if we do not talk about what is actually happening, if we do not debate the truth in good faith, then we will never know what is actually